AITA for dumping my girlfriend after she said cheating doesn't count during a break we never had. I'm a 28-year-old male with a decent job, a decent apartment, and a pretty normal life. I've been dating Madeline, a 26-year-old female, for almost 3 years. I met her at a friend's birthday party where she was taking pictures of the event. She's a freelance photographer trying to build her portfolio and make a name for herself in the wedding and event world. In the beginning, everything was great. She was creative, spontaneous, and always had interesting perspectives on things. I'm more logical and structured, so her artistic energy balanced me out. We spent weekends exploring Austin, going to food truck parks, and attending live music shows. She dragged me to art galleries. I'd convince her to go to escape rooms. It worked. Our first date was at a local taco shop. She told me about her dream of becoming a sought-after wedding photographer, building a brand, and maybe opening her own studio one day. I loved her passion, the way her eyes lit up when she talked about her work. She asked me about my job and seemed genuinely interested in the technical aspects of software development. She didn't tune out when I started talking about programming languages. Those first few months were electric. We'd text all day, send each other silly memes, and make plans for the weekend by Tuesday. She'd surprise me at work with coffee. I'd show up to her photo shoots with snacks. It was that honeymoon phase everyone talks about, and I thought it would never end. We moved in together about a year ago. We found a nice 2-bedroom apartment near downtown, so she could use the second room as her studio and office. We split the rent 60-40 since I earned more, which seemed fair. I covered most of the bills, and she contributed what she could while building her business. I had no complaints. I wanted to support her dreams. The apartment hunting process was fun. We'd go to showings together, imagining our life in each space. Madeline would talk about how she'd set up her studio, where we'd put the couch, and what the kitchen would look like when we hosted dinner parties. I was already thinking long-term. I already saw her as my future wife. Now, looking back, I wonder if she was ever really on the same page, or if she was just going with the flow. But about 6 months ago, things started to change. Madeline got really into a photography networking group. Every Thursday night, she'd go to industry meetups at different bars around the city. At first, I thought it was great. Networking is important when you're building a business, right? She'd come home late, usually after midnight, buzzing about potential clients and collaborations. The first few weeks, I'd wait up for her. We'd cuddle on the couch while she told me about all the people she'd met, the connections she was making, the opportunities that might come from it. I was genuinely excited for her, but slowly, those conversations got shorter. She'd say she was tired, that she wanted to go straight to bed, that she'd tell me tomorrow. That tomorrow never came. Then she started going out more on weekends, too. Building relationships, she called it. I understood. Freelance work is all about who you know. But something felt off about the amount of time she was spending with this group, especially with one guy named Spencer, whom she mentioned constantly. It was Spencer this, Spencer that. Spencer had connections with all the big wedding venues. Spencer knew a famous photographer who might mentor her. Spencer thought her portfolio needed more editorial work. At some point, I stopped hearing about anyone else from these meetings. Just Spencer. I mentioned it once, casually. You talk about Spencer a lot. She got defensive immediately. He's a contact, babe. This is how the industry works. You wouldn't get it. Tech is different. In photography, relationships are everything. So I just backed off. I didn't want to be that controlling boyfriend who gets insecure because his girlfriend has male friends. Besides, I trusted her. 3 years together, we talked about marriage, kids, the whole future. Why would I doubt her now? Then, 2 months ago, things got even weirder. She started needing space. Not in a breakup way, but she'd come home and go straight into her studio, close the door, and work on her laptop for hours. When I knocked to bring her dinner or just check in, she'd barely look up. I'm in the zone. I can't break my flow, she'd say without making eye contact. Our physical intimacy took a nosedive. We went from 3 or 4 times a week to maybe once every 2 weeks, and even then, it felt forced. Afterwards, she'd stay on her phone, something she never used to do. When I tried to initiate, there were always excuses, tiredness, stress from a shoot, not feeling well. I started noticing the little things, too. She'd shower as soon as she got home from these networking events. Her wardrobe started to include pieces I'd never seen before, designer clothes that were definitely not in her budget. When I asked about a new dress, she said it was from a thrift store. It still had the tags on. Nordstrom tags. The final blow came 3 weeks ago. We were supposed to go to dinner at this Italian restaurant we loved, Vespio, the same place we celebrated our first anniversary. I made the reservation weeks in advance. I left work early, even bought her flowers, the whole 9 yards. She texted me at 5 p.m. Hey, something came up with a potential client. Can we reschedule dinner? I'm so sorry, love. I was annoyed, but I was understanding. I ordered takeout, went home, and settled in for a quiet night. Around 10 p.m., I was scrolling through Instagram when I saw a story from one of her photographer friends. It was a group picture at some downtown bar, and there was Madeline, laughing with a drink in her hand, clearly not meeting with any client. Spencer was in the picture too, his arm casually resting on the back of her chair. I texted her, "Thought you had a client meeting?" Her reply came an hour later. It ended early. The group wanted to get drinks after. I was too tired to text. I'm on my way home now. She got home at 2 a.m. I pretended to be asleep. She slipped into bed and was snoring within minutes, smelling of alcohol and a cologne that was definitely not mine. The next morning, I didn't bring it up. I just filed it away in my head, another data point in a pattern I was starting to recognize. That's when I decided to pay more attention. Not to snoop, just to observe. And what I observed was interesting. She'd get texts and immediately turn her phone over. She changed her passcode. We had always known each other's passcodes. It was never a secret. Suddenly, it was. When I mentioned it casually, she said she changed it by accident and couldn't remember the new one. Yeah, right. She started dressing up way more for these networking events. Not just nice, but like she was trying to impress someone. A new perfume I hadn't bought her. Hair always perfect. Makeup that took way more effort than before. She'd spend an hour getting ready for Thursday meetings, but would barely brush her hair when we went out together. The biggest sign, though, was that she stopped talking about the future. We had been casually looking at houses, talking about buying something instead of continuing to rent. We even had a Pinterest board with house styles we liked and neighborhoods we wanted to explore. Suddenly, she didn't want to look at listings anymore. Let's just focus on the present, she'd say whenever I brought it up. Then came the break conversation. It was a Wednesday night, 3 weeks ago. I was making dinner, spaghetti carbonara, one of my specialties. Madeline got home from another networking event around 9 p.m. and sat at the kitchen counter while I cooked. We need to talk, she said, and my stomach dropped. Nothing good ever starts with those words. I turned off the stove and sat across from her. Okay, what's up? She took a deep breath, like she'd rehearsed this. I think we need to take a break. I stared at her. A break. Yeah, I've been feeling overwhelmed with work, and I think I need some space to focus on my career. It's not about you. I just need to figure out what I want right now. What you want? I repeated, trying to process it. 3 years together, living together, and you need to figure out what you want. It's not like that, she said quickly. I love you. I just need time to focus on me. No pressure, no relationship obligations, just some breathing room. And how much is some? I asked, keeping my voice steady, though it felt like I'd been punched. She shrugged. I don't know, a few weeks, a month, however long it takes. And what exactly does a break mean? Are we broken up? Can we see other people? It's not a breakup, she insisted. We're just taking some distance. And no, it's not about seeing other people. It's about personal growth. The words sounded rehearsed, like something out of a self-help book, or more likely, advice someone else had given her. I had a good idea who that someone was. Is this about Spencer? I asked directly. Her expression flickered for a split second, a flash of something that looked like guilt or panic. What? No, this has nothing to do with him. You're being paranoid. Oh, right. Because you've been spending so much time with him lately. You're coming home late. You're secretive with your phone. And now suddenly you need a break. You're making this into something it's not, she said, standing up. I knew you'd react like this. This is exactly why I need space. You don't trust me. Classic deflection. Making it my fault for noticing her behavior. Fine, I said, surprising her. You want a break? You got it. But let's be clear on the rules. What's on and off the table? She looked thrown off, as if she expected me to argue more. I don't know. We just don't talk for a while. And we can see other people? I pressed. No, she said quickly. It's not about that. It's just space. That's what a break is, she replied, getting defensive. Why do you need to define everything? Can't you just trust me? I wanted to laugh. Trust her after all this? But I just nodded. I don't know. I'll let you know when I'm ready to talk. That night, she packed a bag, enough clothes for a week or so, and left. Said she was staying with a friend. I didn't ask which one, though I had my suspicions. I watched her pack and noticed she was taking her nicest clothes, her best jewelry, and that new perfume. Not exactly the attire of someone planning to hole up and work on herself. That was 3 weeks ago. And for 3 weeks, total silence. No texts, no calls, nothing. I didn't reach out either. If she wanted space, she was going to get it in industrial quantities. I used that time to think, really think, about our relationship, about what I wanted, about whether this was even fixable. The more I thought about it, the clearer it became. She didn't want a break to work on herself. She wanted a break to explore something with Spencer without it technically being cheating. My friend Julian, a software engineer at the same company and my buddy since college, came over that first weekend after she left. We got beers, ordered pizza, and I told him everything. Man, he said, shaking his head. You think so? I asked, even though I knew he was right. 100%. She's probably been texting or sleeping with this Spencer guy for weeks, and she needed the break to do it without it technically being infidelity. It's a classic move. So what do? Julian took a long swig of his beer. Start preparing for the end. Document everything. Change your passwords. Secure your stuff. Because when she comes back, and she will come back, she's going to try to gaslight you or manipulate the situation. He was right. So, I started getting my affairs in order. First, I changed all my important passwords, bank accounts, email, streaming services, everything. We shared accounts on almost everything, so I either removed her access or created new accounts entirely. Netflix, Hulu, Spotify, Amazon Prime, all of it. If she wanted to watch television during her break, she could pay for her own subscriptions. Second, I documented everything. Screenshots of her texts about the break, her increasingly distant behavior, the time she had lied about client meetings. I created a folder on my computer with everything organized chronologically. I wasn't planning to go nuclear, but I wanted proof in case things got ugly. Third, I called my landlord. The lease was in my name. She had moved in with me after I'd already been living there for a year. I explained the situation and asked what I needed to do to have her removed as an occupant. It turned out that since she wasn't officially on the lease, all I had to do was give her written notice that she no longer lived there. Done. Fourth, I started apartment hunting. Just looking, seeing what was out there, what I could afford on my own. I didn't need a 2-bedroom place if I was going to be by myself. I found a really nice 1-bedroom in a newer building, closer to my office. Better gym, better amenities, underground parking. I put in an application and was approved in 48 hours. All this time, I heard nothing from Madeline. Total silence. I checked her Instagram occasionally. She'd posted a few photos from various events, always with the same group of people. Spencer was in most of them. In one photo, they were sitting very close at a rooftop bar with the Austin skyline behind them. The caption was something like, "Living my best life with my favorite people." No mention of me, no couple photos, nothing to even suggest she was in a relationship. Then, exactly 3 weeks after she left, my phone buzzed at 11 p.m. on a Saturday. Her name popped up. My heart jumped. Even though I'd been preparing for this, it was still a jolt. The text read, "Hey, can we talk tomorrow? I've had time to think, and I miss you. I think I'm ready to come home." I stared at that text for about 10 minutes. Julian's words echoed in my head. When she comes back, and she will come back. I texted back, "Sure. Coffee shop on 6th Street. 2 p.m. She agreed immediately. The next day, I got there 15 minutes early, ordered a coffee, and waited. She walked in right at 2 p.m. She looked different. Her hair was styled a new way. She was wearing makeup she didn't normally wear, and she had an energy about her that seemed like a mix of nervous and excited. She sat down, ordered a coffee, and got right to the point. "I missed you," she began. "These past few weeks gave me a chance to clear my head, and I realized how much I love you and that I want to make this work." I just nodded, letting her talk. "I've been focused on my photography, I've made some real progress with my portfolio, and I feel like I'm in a better place mentally. I want to come home and start fresh." "Start fresh," I repeated. Interesting way to put it. She smiled, missing my tone. Yeah, I mean, we can take what we learned from this time apart and be better together. And what did you learn? I asked. She talked about personal growth, understanding herself better, and valuing what we had. All buzzwords, nothing concrete. She said the space helped her realize what was important, that being apart made her appreciate the relationship more. It all sounded like something out of a magazine article. I let her finish, and then I asked the question that had been burning inside me. Did you see anyone else during this break? Her expression shifted slightly. What? I already told you, this wasn't about that. It was about me. Just you? No one else involved. Of course, she said. But something in her voice wavered. Why are you asking this? I just want to make sure we're on the same page about what this break meant. We are, she said firmly. It was just time apart. That's all. I nodded slowly. Her face fell. What? What? Because I don't trust you anymore, Madeline. This whole break thing fell off from the start, and these 3 weeks have only confirmed what I already suspected. That's not fair, she said, her voice rising slightly. I needed space. That doesn't mean I did anything wrong. Maybe not, I replied calmly. But it does mean we want different things. You wanted to explore whatever this was without me. I want a relationship where we don't need to take breaks to figure out basic things. She started to cry. I don't think we can, I said. I think it's better if we just end things cleanly. No, she said firmly, wiping her tears. I don't accept that. We're going to get through this. I'm coming home tonight, and we'll talk it out properly. Actually, you're not, I replied. She looked at me, confused. I'm moving out. I already have a new place. You can have the apartment if you want, but you'll need to talk to the landlord about getting on the lease and covering the rent yourself. Her face went from confusion to anger to panic in about 5 seconds. You can't just move out. I can, and I am. She leaned back in her chair, processing it. Then her expression hardened. I stood up. I won't. Take care, Madeline. I walked out of that coffee shop feeling lighter than I had in months. It was over. Finally. I expected her to fight more, to cry more, to try to manipulate me into staying. But she gave up easier than I imagined. That should have been my first sign. 3 days later, I was in my new apartment, unpacking boxes, when my phone buzzed. Madeline's name popped up. The text read, "You know what? You're being ridiculous. It's not cheating if we were on a break." I stared at that text for a full minute. Then I started to laugh, truly laughing, alone in my new apartment, because she had just admitted everything without realizing it. I replied, "We weren't on a break. We were still together, just with space. But we are broken up now, permanently. Thanks for clarifying." My phone immediately started ringing. Madeline's name flashed on the screen. I declined the call. She called again. I declined again. Then the texts started flooding in. Wait. No, I didn't mean it like that. I didn't cheat on you. You're twisting my words. Please call me. We need to talk. I can explain. It's not what you think, please. I silenced my phone and went back to unpacking. About an hour later, there was a loud banging on the door of my new apartment. I looked through the peephole. It was Madeline, her face panicked. I opened the door, leaving the security chain on. What? We need to talk, she said, out of breath, like she'd run up the stairs. We already talked. At the coffee shop. That conversation is over. No, you don't understand. I didn't mean it like that. I wasn't admitting anything. Madeline, you literally texted me. It's not cheating if we were on a break. That's an admission. And just to be clear, we were not on a break. You wanted space while we were still together. That's not a break. That's just semantics. You're an awful person, she screamed, loud enough that I worried about my new neighbors. Oh, right. Because from where I'm standing, you took a 3-week vacation from our relationship, got with Spencer or whoever, and now you're trying to justify it by calling it a break. It wasn't like that, she insisted, starting to cry. Spencer and I only kissed once. That's it. It didn't mean anything. And there it was. The full admission. Once. I asked, keeping my voice calm. Or more than once. She hesitated. And that told me everything. It doesn't matter. It was a mistake. I love you. I want to make this work. She looked at the floor. It's entirely relevant. Madeline, did you sleep with him? She didn't answer for a long moment. Then, quietly, yes. I nodded slowly, strangely calm. I had suspected it, obviously, but hearing it confirmed felt different. Okay, well, that makes this easier. We're done. For real. Please don't contact me again. You can't say that, she said, desperate. We have 3 years together. You can't just throw that all away. We were on a break, she yelled. I asked for it. You said it was fine. No, I corrected. You said you needed space. You never said we were broken up. You never said we could see other people. In fact, you specifically said it wasn't about that. So by any definition, we were still together. And you cheated on me. Her face crumpled. I don't want anything from you, Madeline. I just want you to leave me alone. But I love you. No, I replied. You love the stability I gave you. The guy who paid more of the rent, who supported your dreams, who was there when you needed him. You don't love me. You love what I provided. And as soon as something shinier came along, you jumped at it. She tried to grab my hand through the gap in the door. That's not true. Spencer was just exciting and new, and I got swept up in it. But it didn't mean anything. You're the one I want to be with. Funny how it didn't mean anything, but you still did it. I started to close the door, but she stuck her foot in to stop it. Wait, at least let me get my things from the old apartment. Your things? I asked. You put my things in storage? She asked, genuinely shocked, as if she couldn't believe I'd actually followed through on ending things. What did you expect? That I'd keep your stuff in the apartment, waiting for you to maybe come back? I thought you'd wait for me. Well, you thought wrong. Now, please leave before I call building security. She stood there a moment longer, mascara running down her face, looking completely lost. Then she turned and walked away. I closed the door, locked it, and let out a breath I didn't know I'd been holding. The following days were a masterclass in her complete meltdown. First came the texts, hundreds of them. Apologies, accusations, pleas, more apologies. She cycled through every possible emotion. I read them but didn't reply. Then she started calling from different numbers, friends' phones, a work phone, even a number I didn't recognize that was probably a Google Voice number. I declined every call. She showed up at my office. Security called me to ask if I wanted to see her. I said no, and they escorted her out. A coworker saw the whole thing and told me later she was yelling about how I was throwing our relationship away over one little mistake. She started texting Julian, my friend, asking him to talk to me. He blocked her after she sent him a novel-length text saying I was overreacting and he needed to talk some sense into me. Then came the social media posts. Oh, the posts. First, a cryptic Instagram story, when you give someone your all and they throw it away over a misunderstanding. Then, a full post. It's amazing how quickly people give up on a relationship at the first sign of trouble. Real love means fighting through the hard times, not running away. But I guess not everyone is capable of that level of commitment. My phone blew up with mutual friends asking what had happened. I didn't respond to most, but to the close ones, I told the truth. She cheated on me during a break that wasn't really a break. When I ended it, she lost it. Her friend group initially tried to support her, leaving sympathetic comments. But then Spencer's girlfriend, yes, he had a girlfriend the entire time, found out what happened and commented on Madeline's post. Maybe you shouldn't mess with someone else's boyfriend and then play the victim when your own relationship ends. The whole thing exploded. Madeline deleted the post in under an hour, but screenshots were already everywhere. Julian sent me about 15 different versions people had shared in various group chats. Then Madeline's mom called. That was a fun conversation. What did you do to my daughter? She demanded. She's a wreck. She won't stop crying. She says you're being cruel and won't even talk to her. Did she tell you why we broke up? She said you're mad about a misunderstanding during a break you both agreed to. That's interesting, I replied calmly. Because what actually happened is she asked for space, cheated on me with a guy from her networking group, and then tried to justify it by calling it a break after the fact. When I found out, I ended the relationship. That's the whole story. Silence on the other end of the line. So she cheated on you? Yes. Are you sure? She admitted it to me directly. She slept with him. So yes, I'm pretty sure. More silence. Then, in a much quieter voice, I didn't know that. She told me you were being unreasonable. I'm sure she did. Her mom apologized, said she would talk to Madeline, and hung up. Apparently, Madeline had left out a few key details when crying to her family about her terrible ex-boyfriend. The final push came a week after the coffee shop meeting. Madeline texted me from another new number. I'm outside your apartment. Please, just talk to me face to face. Give me 5 minutes. I looked through the peephole. There she was, sitting in the hallway against my door, looking like she hadn't slept in days. I called building security. There's someone in my hallway who is refusing to leave. Can you send someone up? 5 minutes later, security was there. I opened the door as they were asking her to leave. Ma'am, the resident has asked you to leave. You need to go now, or we'll call the police. She looked at me, desperate. Please, just 5 minutes. That's all I'm asking. No, I said simply. Why are you being so cruel? She yelled as security helped her to her feet. I made one mistake. A mistake is forgetting to buy milk at the store, I replied calmly. Getting with someone else is a choice. You made a choice. Now live with the consequences. You'll regret this, he screamed as they led her toward the elevator. When you realize what you lost, don't come crawling back to me. Noted, I said, and closed the door. That was 2 weeks ago. Since then, it's been mostly quiet. She stopped texting after her mom apparently gave her a piece of her mind about the whole situation. Her social media went private, and according to Julian, who still follows her on Instagram from a fake account he made just to monitor the drama, a true most valuable player, she posted a single story that said, "Sometimes the trash takes itself out." I assumed that was about me. Meanwhile, my life has been pretty great. The new apartment is perfect, smaller but cheaper, and all mine. I've been hanging out with Julian more. I joined a recreational soccer league, and I'm generally just enjoying the peace of not being in a toxic relationship. A few mutual friends reached out to check on me. Turns out, Madeline had been spinning a very different story, but when the truth came out, thanks to Spencer's girlfriend blowing the whole thing up, people's perspectives changed real fast. One friend told me Madeline had been texting her entire contact list looking for allies, but most people just felt bad for Spencer's girlfriend, who apparently had no idea any of this was happening. The best part? Spencer apparently dropped Madeline after everything exploded. I guess he was only interested in the chase, not an actual relationship. Madeline tried to contact him after we broke up, and he just blocked her. Karma is a real thing, people. I actually ran into Spencer's now ex-girlfriend. She approached me at a coffee shop last week. "You're Madeline's ex, right?" she asked. "Yeah. I just wanted to say I'm sorry for what happened. Spencer and I are over, for obvious reasons, but I thought you should know Madeline didn't get her fairy tale ending either." "I appreciate you telling me that," I replied. "Sorry you got dragged into all this." She shrugged. "Honestly, I'm glad I found out. Better now than later. He chatted for a few more minutes. It turns out Spencer had a pattern of doing this, getting bored in relationships, pursuing someone new, and then dumping them when the thrill was gone. Madeline was just his latest target, and she blew up her entire relationship for a guy who didn't even want her long-term. The cosmic justice of it all was not lost on me. I got one last text from Madeline last night, a long one, sent at 3 a.m. "I know you're not going to answer this, but I need to say it. You were right about everything. Spencer was a mistake. The break was a mistake. Ruining us was a mistake. I thought I wanted excitement and freedom, but all I ever really wanted was you. I know it's too late, and I know I don't deserve forgiveness, but I'm sorry. I'm truly sorry. I hope one day you can forgive me, even if you never want to talk to me again. You deserved better than what I gave you." I read it. I acknowledged that it was probably sincere, and then I deleted the message without replying. Because here's the thing. Even if she means it, even if she's truly remorseful, it doesn't change anything. She made her choice. She prioritized her ego, her excitement, and her desires over our relationship. And that's something I can't get over, no matter how sorry she is now. Some people might say I should give her another chance, that everyone makes mistakes, that 3 years is worth fighting for. But I don't see it that way. Those 3 years mattered to me. They were real, they were important. They were the foundation I thought we were building on. And she dynamited it the moment someone more exciting came along. I'm not interested in being anyone's plan B. I'm not interested in being the stable, boring option she settles for after her exciting fling doesn't work out. I'm worth more than that, and I deserve someone who sees my value from the start, not after she screwed up so spectacularly. So yeah, that's my story. My girlfriend tried to have her cake and eat it too by taking a break to cheat guilt-free. When she got caught, she tried to justify it, gaslight me, and manipulate the situation. When that didn't work, she had a complete meltdown. And now here I am, single, living my best life, and honestly, not missing the drama at all. The apartment is quieter now, calmer. I can come home from work and just exist without walking on eggshells or wondering what mood she'll be in. I can make plans without checking to see if they conflict with her networking events. I can just be, and honestly, it feels freaking great. Comment. Hey everyone. Going through something like this is incredibly tough, but it teaches us a powerful lesson about self-worth. It's about recognizing that you deserve honesty, respect, and a partner who chooses you every single day, without question. Setting firm boundaries isn't cruel. It's a necessary act of self-preservation and self-love. Sometimes, the hardest goodbyes lead to the most peaceful hellos and a better version of yourself. Remember to always choose yourself. If you like the stories, don't forget to leave a comment and support the channel by subscribing. See you in the upcoming stories.